All right, guys, it is Monday, 12 o'clock here in Revelstoke. It is 8 p.m. in the UK, and I think it's 3 p.m. somewhere right now in the US. I don't know where that is, but we'll get to that in a minute. Welcome back to the live stream. We've kind of switched it out for the last couple of weeks here. Been super busy, but we're now right coming to the end of the summer season. So I thought it would be a good idea for us to focus all on getting excited for the winter season. To do that today, I thought I'd bring along some friends of the channel, some fellow content creators, and we're just going to hang out, share some stories, share the excitement for this coming ski season, and of course, have a good hangout with you guys in the comment section. So we are going live today on Facebook as well as YouTube. So if you're watching on either one, do get involved, put your comments in there. We'll get to them as we go. And yeah, let's get the ball rolling. So without further ado, let's bring in the two guests. So first of all, from the UK, we've got the friend of the channel, Simon Burgess. Simon,
hey Matt, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Long day here for people who follow my channel. It's back to school now, so I'm a snowboarder, but around teaching, and so with kids back in school tomorrow. So it's been a lot of prep today, but I'm ready to talk about something else actually, rather than school. Let's get on with the snowboard chat.
All right, let's bring in another snowboarder. I'm outgunned today. I'm being really ganged up on. It is our good friend as well, Brad from Ride Vibes. Hey, buddy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. You're going to have to remind me, whereabouts in the US are you?
We're in Michigan.
Michigan, so, right. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty close to Canada, just the wrong side of Canada for you.
Yeah. Are we still sending wildfire smoke down your way?
You have been. I haven't seen it a little bit finally, but we were getting it for a while for sure. It was like the apocalypse out here.
Yeah, we've sort of decided to give you guys a bit of a break, I think. Just looking in the comment section, we've already got a couple of comments running. Our good friend Joe is on there. He saying hi to both you guys. Oh, he's a snowboarder as well. So, what's going on here, guys? What am I going to do?
How we doing?
Three snowboarders.
So Joe is kind of like a newfound friend for me. So that's one cool thing about doing this, which I think you guys would agree with, is you get that you meet cool people that are like-minded while you're making content. And Joe's kind of been hanging around lately. So I think I met him on your live, and now I think he follows me too, and seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, no, definitely. He's starting up his channel this winter as well. So it'll be cool to see what comes on from there, and maybe you and him are going to link up, Simon. I think maybe.
Yeah, that's exciting as well, right? Because I think similar to what Brad's saying, met him on your live stream last week or the week before, and he's going to be spending his winter in the same place that I'm going out for my trips this year. So definitely get some laps in.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Lucas Catania to take notice of me in his live stream comments, but still working hard on that one.
Yeah, I do that with Snowboard Pro Camp. Same thing.
Yeah, notice me.
Kind of the big guy in snowboarding.
Well, there was one time last winter where I think he was having some trouble with his camper, and he was in Revi. And I was messaging him. I was like, dude, if you need a place to crash, there's a spare bed here or whatever. If you need some lift tickets or whatever, let me know. And yeah, he sort of politely declined. So,
well, at least he was polite.
Yeah, it was. But no, man, it's a cool thing. I mean, have you guys thought much about winter yet? Are you guys looking forward to it?
Yeah, for me, I know what I'm doing in terms of going to the Grand Massive, a few different trips there's 5 ski resorts there. So a few different trips staying in each of the different villages to check out different areas. And then my mind's also turning to kind of October and May, trying to get some glacier skiing in Europe. Because I know, like you were saying previously, you've been to Saas-Fee for the glacier.
Yeah.
So I've been when the whole resort's open, but I would like to get some summer and pre-season snow as well.
Yeah. It's a fun, it's a different experience being on the glacier. Speaking of a place where there is glacier, our good friend from Austria, Snow Camps Europe, Andy Rhodes, is in the chat as well. Hey, Andy. Yeah, so Andy might be able to tell you when the Austrian glaciers are opening up, because it is fun. Yeah, the Saasfee one, you'll probably see quite a lot of race training, I reckon, Simon, but like it's still worth doing.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a little bit of a look for May. You've obviously got Les Deux Alpes in France. I was looking at Hintertux, but it's just finding it's finding affordable accommodation, which obviously, like in Austria and Switzerland, can be a bit of a challenge. But yeah, maybe Andy might be able to give me some advice for that.
Yeah. Before we get on to Joe's question, Brad, any glaciers near you? Any skiing you can do pre-winter?
No. Michigan is real low elevation. That's why most Midwesterns go out west and stuff for the early lays out in Keystone, which is a cup I'm drinking from right now, actually. But Keystone, early season, December, and then we were out in where we go, Vail, like in April. You only really have from like January until like March here because we're real low elevation, so everything melts real fast. Definitely no glaciers.
Have you got any indoor centers?
No, I wish we did, man. They got one in like New York, which is like 7 hours from us or so, but
Big Snow or something. The new one in New York.
Yeah, it's like just far enough away to not go. You know what I mean? So I was hoping they'd put one in Michigan, but we do have some of the best in the world, obviously. Arguably the best lakes in the world, freshwater lakes. So
nice.
We do a lot of other cool things.
Joe's asked a question for you, Simon. What do you do in the summertime for a job?
Yeah, Joe. Well, actually, my job's the same all year round. I'm a school teacher in the UK, so a lot of my snowboarding happens during the Christmas, February, Easter, May, and then summer. I've been lucky to do South America and Australia, New Zealand. So we're still in a position where we get 13 weeks holiday, which to me like kind of equates to nearly a full season. And most of the time, a school holiday is a ski trip for me, Joe.
The only problem is you get the vacation at the wrong time of the year.
Yeah, it just depends with like the
winter vacation instead of summer vacation would be nicer.
Yeah, I agree. Like there's a school that I keep looking at. If anyone knows anybody there, it's in Santiago, Chile. And the reason I look, besides it being quite a good school, is their long vacation is December to February, 12 weeks every year. I'm like, well, that would be just absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that would be nice.
One for the future.
I mean, the ski season's down there in South America. Is that the same as like Western, or is that it's later?
No,
right?
Yeah, their ski season would be July through to September.
Yeah.
So the thought process would be, I mean, like I went to Argentina probably about 10 weks through one of their summer seasons. And I loved it down there. Like the people, the atmosphere, like the resorts were crazy. But like the benefit of working at that school, for example, would be you'd have the Northern Hemisphere winter off to come and join you in Revelstoke or go wherever. And then you'd obviously have the local resorts for when you're actually working.
Andy says, if you head to Kaprun from the 9th of October, the glacier will have enough snow there on the Kitzsteinhorn. And he does say that he might have some, possibly some accommodation available, mate.
Amazing.
So I might put you guys in touch afterwards if you want to look into that, Simon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Andy, for reaching out, and let's get an email and let's get something sorted.
I need to get Andy on the live stream probably in the next couple of weeks as well. It's long overdue. What do we got here? Joe's also saying, thanks for answering. I have a question for you, Brad, Ride Vibes. How long have you been riding for, and do you have any snowboard qualifications?
Been riding, so I skied since I was like 5 to 15. And then around that time, snowboarding was cool. Everyone was getting into snowboarding. And I don't know. I'm probably aging myself here a little bit, but back a minute ago, like there was like a snowboarding was this cool thing, snowboarding and skiers didn't like each other, blah blah blah. But so I snowboarded for like 3 years, from like 15 to 18, and then I kind of put it away and shelved it until I was about 27, and then been doing it ever since. So like a decade-ish been snowboarding. So no qualifications, just self-taught, go down everything as fast as we can and crash as hard as we can, and eventually you learn. I find the harder you ride, the harder you crash, the faster you learn. So but I will say, like, now that I'm in my mid-30s, I'm trying to avoid the hard crash. I still like to ride hard, but it hurts a little longer now. So I'm glad I learned when I was 16. I was kind of made of rubber at the time.
So are you saying that snowboarding's no longer cool and it's on the way out?
Nice try.
What would I say? I would say that like either is cool now. So like our group is like half skiers and half snowboarders. So it doesn't, whatever you like. So, and I'm kind of like hoping to hybrid it because I'm getting those step-ins this year. So hopefully I can keep up with my skier buddies a little better. So
yeah. Well,
sorry, Matt. Have you demoed any of the step-ons?
I've never demoed them. So if you watch a channel at all, like Zach, who's like my right-hand man, the other half is he's had them for a couple of years now and he seems happy with them. So it's good enough for me. So
yeah, they're really intriguing actually. Like, see people just like stepping on the lift. It's never been like a big issue for me just bending over and like strapping in, but I would like to try them because people rave about them. So I'm excited to hear how you get on.
Yeah, I can strap in pretty fast. Like, I mean, once you've been riding for, I don't know how long you've been riding, Joe, but if you've been riding a couple of years, like you eventually, like you learn how to strap in standing up. So like you can get off the lift and almost like strap in while you're moving for the most part. Definitely easy to get out of. I love strap bindings for getting out of them. I love the feel of them, but I will say, like, we went to a couple of resorts last year where it was like mostly skiers, and like I'm fast for a snowboarder at getting buckled in. Like I'm usually one of the faster ones to strap in, but when you ride with like just a bunch of skiers and they literally are getting off the lift and just going, like you'll find you're just you're just like really like as fast as you can all day long. Or it's not that you can't keep up, it's just not that fun to try to keep up. You know what I mean? You're like really working at it, huffing and puffing all day long and trying to go as fast as you possibly can all day. So it's, yeah.
Have you got plans for trips this winter? Have you made any yet?
We're kind of like tentatively planning some trips. So I think we're gonna kick off the season in Breck. I think that's where we're at. And then we want to get to Utah probably in like March-ish time. So, but other than that, I mean, we always like boys trips always end of January every single year. So that's Upper Michigan. We'll be up there for the boys trip. And then, like I said, we're going to try to do something early season in Colorado and something a little later season in Utah. And other than that, we'll figure it out as we go.
Some good destinations there, buddy. Yeah, I'm hoping it's a good winter on both sides of the continent.
Yeah, there's this other little trip too. I know I haven't figured that one out yet though. But I don't know if you ever talk with like Elliot Elstacker and those guys, Chuck Van. Those guys are cool too. If you're not following them, you should. They're really cool. But they're going to Whistler this year. They've been to Japan and a couple other places. They were out in Elliot's backyard, which is Burgess Basin there last year. And I think they're going to Whistler. So I might be going on that one. I don't know yet, but we're talking. We've been texting back and forth a little bit. So maybe Whistler's in the cards. That would be. How far is Whistler from you?
It's like 6 or 7 hours.
It's kind of in the same area then.
Kind of. I mean, like you have to look on the map and you actually realize that Revelstoke's in kind of like in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, I'm saying that's a 6-7 hour drive to the Vancouver area without taking into account like road conditions, right? And I know that the pretty much I think they purposefully built a highway from Vancouver up to Whistler now, but even so, like because it's not far from the city, like everybody goes there. And I mean, I got to be honest with you, I'm not exactly like chomping at the bit to go there.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard, there's you might be able to testify to this, but there's definitely a reputation now with resorts under the Vail umbrella.
Yeah.
Plenty of press articles like giving like certain resorts negative attention, but a lot of people I know that are around Revy have done at least one winter in Whistler, and it sounds like a real huge big ski area, lots of skiing, some good powder days when you do get that snow. But I don't know, having come to Revelstoke, and there's a couple of resorts maybe 2 or 3 hours away. I don't know. It'd be super hard for me, I think, to take the time to go over that way anyway. But it's not something I'm super enthusiastic about.
I think I went to Whistler in the summer, and Brad, if you get there in the winter, you have to try the bobsleigh. And in the winter, they'll send you down like on a skeleton tray. You can do it by yourself if you're that way inclined. I don't know, you were saying about mid-30s and injuries, but the bobsleigh was so much fun. But like in the summer, it was rammed, and that does put me off. Like I would like to go and ski in Whistler. I think it's one of those that if you're like a skier or snowboarder with any interest, you probably want to go and check it out and tick it off. But I also think like if I'm going to make the effort back to Canada, there's other places as well. Like you're saying, Matt, like I did a season in Sun Peaks, which is like the second largest resort in Canada. And we like for a whole winter, I was not stood in a lift queue. And I'm like, this is meant to be the second largest. So Whistler, you are going to get lift queues, especially on those powder days. But you've also got like an incredible village in Whistler with like if you're into the après and you want to go for a night out, or you just want to go and demo some gear, they've got like all the latest gear. So I think everything's like catch-22, isn't it? But I see both your sides really, how Matt, you're not stoked, and Brad, how you are. So I hope you make it, and maybe you could feedback how it is in the.
Yeah, I mean, if we go out with those boys, like I said, if you're not following them, you should. But it doesn't matter where we go. We're gonna have the stoke's gonna be high, and we're gonna have a good time. So it's I will say in Vail's defense, because everyone likes to hate on Vail and they're the big guys and they are crowded, but that's where we went. We went to Vail for the first time last April, and those back bowls are when you ride those, you are like, okay, this is why Vail is Vail, right? Mm. Like when you get back there, you're just, I've never rode anything like that in my life.
Yeah. So I agree, Brad.
None, the best riding I've ever done was the back bowls at Vail, but we did kind of luck out. We were on there at Easter actually, and there wasn't a ton of lines or traffic, so we didn't have the experience of that part, which I'm sure made it a good experience. Where if we would have went in February or March, it might have just been waiting all day in lift lines. And as long as you're okay spending $27 for a burger, and crowds and tourists, the skiing is something special out there for sure. But that's what I told Matt about around here. Like we don't have big mountains, but we have like really good local vibes because nobody travels to Michigan to ski, right? It's just the people that live here ski here, and because of that, it's just a totally different environment than when you're out in Colorado or somewhere like that, where people from all around the world coming in, right?
Yeah, and I mean, with I guess those bigger resorts, the way you look at it, I mean, there's through so many different lenses, right? And I think if you've spent some time either going on like skiing a lot or working in a ski resort, that definitely influences things. So from my perspective, being in a town which is quite closed off during the winter, there's don't really want to jump on the highway during that time. And actually when there's such a cool snow community in town, you're kind of like, do you really need to go out and head to some of these bigger areas? But Simon mentioned his time in Sun Peaks. Kamloops is like 2.5 hours away from me. You'd fly into Kelowna, would be your nearest airport. But there's also Big White and Silver Star before you even get to Revy. So there's quite a few around the area you could get to and have an awesome time. just go through a couple of comments to get caught up because a few people there. Joe, congrats on 400,000 views, Matt. Thanks, mate. Yeah, super pleased on that. Let's keep going on 500,000. Joe is aiming to get his Basie level 1 next year. Have either of you guys got any any coaching badges or anything?
I've got the Canadian. I'm Canadian 2 and Canadian Park.
Yeah.
Okay. And to be honest, it's been brilliant, Joe. I hope you can get it. If you're if you're going out to the Grand Massive, I'd be tempted for you to try and get your Basie 1 indoors in the UK before you go, because they were running courses at like Hemel and Milton Keynes, and then you could actually spend your season training for the level 2, which I know you said you were doing something with like property management and stuff like that. So you should have some time to just get out and do your training. But it will take you places, Joe. So it's exciting. And if you do have any questions on that, feel free to fire them.
Yeah. Richard says it needs to snow. I think we're all in agreement there.
Yeah, no, I don't know about you guys, but come like September, this is the month where I start getting, starting turning on the mountain cams to watch, and it's like still 90 out and it's all green and there's no chance in hell it's going to snow yet. But it's like one of those, it's definitely September's where I start getting real anxious and wanting to ride again. And I usually cope by buying stuff for myself and then staring at it.
Have you made any purchases?
Well, I gotta buy those bindings. That's gonna be $700 because I gotta buy the boots. The problem with the step-ons, they're cool, but you gotta buy the boots and bindings.
Yeah.
And I don't remember because I haven't skied in a long time, but I hate buying new boots. Like I love buying new snowboards and bindings and things, but unless they're ones that require boots. But the boots on snowboard, like you almost want to buy them like a little small, otherwise they get packed out and they get too loose. So they're horrible at first. Like I hate buying. It's like the worst. It's like the worst thing in the world. Like you got to wear them around. I wear them around the house. I go jogging in them. I pack socks down into them and try to stretch them out because I squeeze the sides of my feet a little bit. But it's like the worst experience in the world. So I hate buying new boots. I'm like, every other piece of equipment I get excited about, but I'm actually not enthused at all that I have to buy some new boots for these bindings.
Yeah, I gotta do that this year. I've sort of committed to starting to build a touring setup for this year. And the first step I've kind of realized is, well, like a lot of these skis now, you kind of have the hybrid. I think they call them shift bindings, right? Where you can flick in between touring and then your alpine. I think it's like a Solomon design, and all the boots now have like these little pins on the toe cap. And so I've been sort of going, right, well, I need to get myself a new set because my old boots don't have these, that they're kind of falling apart anyway. But I'm like, I remembered when I got my old boots made and they were custom to this old, but those first 2-3 weeks of putting them on was the most painful experience. Like they were more painful than getting rental boots.
Yeah, I think maybe we're a bit luckier than you because like I've got ski boots, I've got snowboard boots, and I'm lucky that I know the boot that fits me. I've ridden the same boot. Like I get it every single year for probably about a decade now. I try on a different brand and it's not right. But snowboard boots, I think, are fairly comfortable. Like, yeah, you do have to get them a little bit smaller at the start because they will pack out. But I love buying gear like this time of year, especially like if you can pick up some deals from last year. Hey, who's that, Brad?
Who's that?
No, it's my Munchkin. So the one thing I didn't do is I didn't plan this super well because it's apparently Labor Day. So usually I work from home, so I'm all by myself. I'm all by myself like all the time, but today I got the Munchkins with me. So that's Tessa's head, and that's Benjamin over there sneaking around. So
it's fine. I'm counting those as 2 extra viewers on the live stream.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So Richard is like, yeah, definitely true for what you guys are saying on the bindings. He's got 2 sets of pivot bindings that need to be fitted, but it's way too early. Richard, where are you watching from, buddy? Let me know where you are in the comments. Pivot bindings, are those board bindings? Do you guys know what pivot bindings are? I don't think I've heard of those.
I'm not really familiar with them. I've seen some like weird new innovative board bindings, if that's what you're talking about, but
yeah.
Is it not like a ski tour binding that pivots at the back to let your boot in?
Let me Google
like
that.
Hang on. Like a flow binding, or Nidecker has a like rear entry binding.
Oh, like the rear entry.
Yeah, no, I know the ones that I can see them now. It's like it's almost like you've got a turntable on the back of on the back binding. I've seen a few of them, and initially they've been around for a year or two now, and I thought they looked quite flimsy, but like they are super popular. So I'm probably wrong. Richard is English
around here, that's for sure. Like I've seen, like if that's what you're talking about, where the boots can go like this. Yeah, I've like seen videos online, but I've yet to see one in real life. So
yeah,
can't speak to them very much.
Well, Richard is English, but he lives in Andorra. So, I mean, Richard, maybe you could, if you've got the two sets of those bindings, you could tell us what they're like.
Do you live near one of the resorts as well? Sorry, just saying, Richard, it'd be great to know if you live close to any of the resorts over in Andorra as well. It's somewhere that I've always been interested in visiting. I don't know if either of you, Matt, maybe when you were working in Europe.
No, I think I know a couple of trips and people that worked over in Pas de la Casa, which was like a few years ago. That was like the up and coming ski resort in Europe.
Oh, nice. He's in El Tata.
Yeah. 3-minute drive to the ski lift.
That'd be trouble, man. I feel like I just live there.
Yeah. But back to what you were saying, Brad, about starting to get excited now for winter. I mean, especially here in Revelstoke in Canada, with how this summer's gone with the fires, like everybody has been definitely over the summer, and we've kind of had a bit of rain recently, so, and it's felt a little bit cooler. So immediately you start, it's like I was driving back through the mountains yesterday, and you just start casually looking up at the top of the peaks, and you start thinking, how long is it? And we can start getting snow here in October. So I'm hoping if we get some, that's a good sign for a good winter.
Yeah, that would be nice. So let's come visit. If you get some in October, I might have to come visit you. Let's put it that way.
We won't be open then, but so the 2 winters that I've been here so far, the first winter where we got like 12 meters, it was snowing up on the mountains from that late September, October time. So there was already a coverage that was building before we then actually opened on November the 27th. So by that time, you already had like 2-3 meters base. Whereas like last year, we had literally no snow in autumn. It was dry, it was warm, and then it got cold like back end of November. They had some of the like 1 or 2 cannons running and a little bit of snow on top, but like it was a slow start, I think, for all of us last year.
I remember, because I was trying to live vicariously through you, and you were having a horrible winter too to begin with. So we had a horrible winter to kick off the season. And I mean, we didn't get out until like New Year's, and in New Year's, if you guys happen to catch that one, but if not, I mean, it was still like sticks coming through and dirt, and it was nasty. So we did a lot more drinking than riding that day, unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw some of your videos from that. So we didn't get our first snowstorm until the Christmas weekend, which was, what was that, like 23, 24, 25th. Now there's a saying in Revelstoke called Revel Stuck, and it kind of means 2 things. One is that like you basically get snowed in, so no one's coming in or coming out of the town. the other one is just like, you know, the town catches you and you don't want to leave it, which, you know, I'm pretty Revel stuck on that one. But that weekend I had two friends who were leaving Canada, and so I drove them to Vancouver. And that weekend we left, and that was like, some people were saying it was like the best conditions at Revelstoke had since it opened. So
yeah, that typically happens. So usually like we go places and then like the next week they get, you know, just massacred. Like as soon as we get out of there, like we went to Killington like 2 years ago, which is the beast of the East over on the East Coast, the biggest. It's in Vermont. And I mean, we drove 14 hours through a blizzard to get there, to wake up the next morning to rain, you know, a horrible icy rain, fog. Just, it was rain at the bottom, it was ice fog at the top, and no visibility. Is some of the worst riding I've ever had my entire life. And then we literally get home, and like the next week they had like 2 feet of pow. You know, it's just like I was looking at all the shots online, like, come on, like what we have pretty bad luck when it comes to conditions a lot of times. But
yeah, but you guys always seem to have a good time though. It's, I think it's the crew that you guys ride with that you just bring like an attitude to make the most of it. Like I remember I went to work in Australia at Fredbo in their worst snow season for like 50 years is what they were saying. And it was just like, there was a few people in like the locker room who were getting like, oh my God, this is rubbish. But I just tried to surround myself with people who were like just buzzing to go out and like make the most of what there was, and ended up having a cracking time. So I guess it's all up here, right?
Oh, totally. Negativity doesn't exist, man. It's just a mental thing. You know, you can take a negative situation, like your tire blows out, you know, and you're stuck on the side of the highway, and you can either decide like that's negative, or you can be like, this gives me a chance to learn how to change a tire, right? And this is a positive experience, and I'll learn something, I'll grow from this. And yeah, no, we're just also, you know, with such a short season, we're just, and we have a good group of guys and gals that we've just been close for a long time. So we're just also stoked to be out there. It doesn't much matter. I've wanted to ride Killington like my entire adult life. It's always been a dream to get out there, and the weather could have been better, but the mountain didn't disappoint. Like Killington, every bit. It's just like a Revy or a Colorado or something. Like it is just a huge, you know, 15-20 minute ride, like ridiculous terrain that would scare the crap out of you if you wanted, like stuff that's way beyond your level.
Superstar.
Like super cool, right? Like just cool vibe. And then what I liked about Vermont, actually, when you're talking like local vibe, is like Vermont, you have that big mountain, but you still kind of have like this cool local low keyness about it, because it's, I mean, honestly, I don't know when I'll get back, and the reason being is the same reason it's cool, because like I can fly to Denver for like $300, or I can fly to like Killington for like $1,000. Like it is, there's no major airports out to it, so it just makes it's just so much harder to get to, and it's like and then you have that inclement weather you don't have out west, so you could get there and just have spent all this money on a trip that, you know, sucks.
It was my first ski trip, Brad, Killington. So like my college took us out there, and I'd never been on skis, so I skied that trip, not snowboarded, and just ended up on Superstar on day 3, like, and falling all over the place.
Through the glades, is that right?
It's like a big bump run, and I've got a picture somewhere of me like knackered at the bottom of this bump run, like just flat out being like, what am I doing? But I'd love to go back now that I'm a little bit more able, so maybe that's one that we can match up with at some point.
That would be cool, man. I'd love to go back to Killington. We always talk about it, go back to Casey's Caboose and some of the local vibes around there. And I didn't mean to compare it to Revy, Matt. I've never been to Revy, so maybe, I know you're a big Revy fan, so maybe Revy's way better. I'm just saying it stacks up well. You know, you got 3,000 vertical drop, which isn't bad, right? It's not a bad mountain by any means. It's enough for your leg burning, you're tired, and you're ready to be at the bottom by the time you're at the bottom. And it's got some pretty good views, and it's got a really cool local vibe. The only real problem with Killington is you're your peak is 4,000 feet. And I know you guys are meter people.
Yeah.
But
what is that? I'm gonna have to Google that.
When you go to Brack, like the peak is 13,000 feet, right? And the base is like 10,000 feet.
1,200-ish, Matt.
Yeah.
Sure. And when you're at Killington, you're talking basically sea level to the peak. And obviously that makes a big difference when it comes to the actual condition of the snow, because if the Colorado, it can be like 45 and the snow's still beautiful, right? You got blue skies and the snow is still fluffy. But in Killington, it's just like around here, where if it's 33, you got slush and it's heavy and it's, and it's so random and all over the place that it just makes it a real sketchy trip to go if you're going to put a bunch of money into it.
Yeah. Richard, if Richard's still on the chat, would love to know a little bit about El Tata and what that resort's like and what drew him to El Tata. But yeah, like everyone's got their favorite, haven't they? And I think the beauty is actually hearing, because everyone has a different favorite resort and why they do and don't like it. Revelstoke just has got me like no other place. And I think, I mean, I've mentioned community quite a lot, and everyone will tell you about that, about Revelstoke. But also, I think because the town is, I mean, it's 10-minute maximum is a 10-minute drive from the actual hill. It's all still technically like within the town boundaries. But when you're in the town, it's like it's a fully working town, right? So it has its own characteristics and vibe to it, which it's linked to the ski hill, but it's more just like an all year round mountain town. And I don't think I've ever actually been in that type of place before. Like every place I've either visited or like worked, that as soon as it gets to end of April, it goes completely dead for 6-7 weeks before it then opens up again late May, early June for a summer season. And then, then there's a whole thing again in the next shoulder season. But I think when you're in a place all year round, you find what else makes the place so special.
I think a lot of European resorts, though, Matt, are taking a bit of a lead from Canada and America at the moment, like Killington, Revelstoke, Sun Peaks. They've all got like summer activities like bike parks. Whistler the same. Hiking trails are opening up, the alpine coasters, and you're finding more of that now in Europe, with like that being advertised as, look, come here in the winter, but also come back in like the summer. And a lot of their lift passes and stuff you're able to use in the summer as well.
For the most part, it's a very different crowd though for the summer, right? And I know like in Europe, if you went to places like Austria or Switzerland, the hiking trails are so extensive, but it's definitely like an older crowd. If you went to maybe somewhere like Morzine, it's probably going to be a bit younger because everyone's mountain biking. I have noticed, like with things like the mountain coasters and attractions like that, in the summer here in Canada, everybody's on the road with a camper van, or an RV. And so in the winter, you might go to one place and you might, stay there 5, 6, 7 days and want to really explore the town. But quite a few, I think, here look to stop off at different places, do an activity, kill a couple of hours, and then move on and find the next campground.
We do golf around here a lot too. A lot of the local courses are like golf courses a lot of the local ski resorts are golf courses during the winter. So I don't usually play on them because I don't want to be reminded of skiing, because golf's supposed to be like my coping mechanism to make me not think about golf or skiing. So it would be kind of counterproductive, but
you'd love the golf courses here. I'm not much of a golfer. I've done it once or twice, but the one course here is like right on the edge of the Columbia River, right in the mountains. And then there's this big they're not like a franchise, what they're called, Cabo. I don't know if you know them. They're building a course in Revy as well now, which is supposed to be just like state of the art. And
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah. Richard said, I moved to Altata to be closer to Gran Valera, which is 220 kilometers a piece. It's a tiny ski town that is very quiet in the summer. 220 km, that's a good amount of skiing, though.
Yeah, decent. I think what are the biggest ones in Europe? So 600 kilometers is Three Valleys. The third biggest, Paradise Ski, I think 480.
Yeah.
So it's got to be up there.
Yeah. What else is he saying here? Also, like you say, in summer it turns into downhill mountain biking, and your ski pass works for the lift. I guess, like, in all, if you're living there all year round, right? I've never had the chance to live all year round in a European ski town, which is a shame. But it's not easy for us Brits to do anymore. But definitely in France, I felt like a lot of those places were maybe purpose built, whereas, like, if you go into maybe more Central Europe, a lot of those towns have all round activities. Like, as soon as that snow's gone, all the farmers come out, and then all the roads open up for road biking, mountain biking, hiking. Canada's a bit wilder, though. I guess you gotta watch out for the bears
and the cougars. The cougars used to scare me when I was in some peaks. Oh my!
Yeah, there was a couple, probably about a month back, over towards Nakusp on the other side of the ferry. There was a couple of reports there of cougars chasing mountain bikers.
Wow.
Yeah.
I used to have to, so like I worked ski school, but I also worked retail, and I'd finish a shift in retail about 10 o'clock at night. And we had a 10-15 minute walk past like this woodlands back to where the Staffacon was. And I know it's in my head. And every night I was walking down there, and you'd hear like branches cracking. And I've never been so scared, man.
Oh, it's something you don't really get any of that in Europe for sure. So yeah, you gotta watch out for cougars. The
cougars. What did we switch the subject to?
I was just gonna say, and the animal kind, you got to watch out for them.
Yeah. Definitely got to watch out for those cougars in the ski towns. That's for sure.
And the bears. We've had a couple of bear sightings now. Like, it's about the time where some of the bears are starting to come out and about, and they're coming to town. I actually saw one just down where we were practicing with the cricket team last week, and he just was like right on the side of the road, and he just delved over into the bushes there looking for food. Yeah.
Well, you came across some on your hike, didn't you, from one of your summer videos?
Yeah, that was a little bit scary for me, just because it was a mama bear. But yeah, I'd literally gone up on the gondola the day before and crossed the main that overlooks the Kill the Banker trail for hiking and biking. And I'd seen her with the 3 cubs, and they were just crossing, going on to the side. And I decided to hike that route the next day. And I literally came over the brow, and like same place, she's like right there. And I made eye contact with her, and sort of turned the other way and waited for a little bit. But the black bears, I think if you leave them alone, they're not, and you keep your distance, you don't really have to be too worried. But it's the grizzlies you got to watch out for.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. So I've been out west several times, and that's we used to hunt back. My dad's side like hunts, so I never was really that into it, to be honest. But I did go on some hunts. I'm not a very good hunter, actually, to be honest. I guess I look at my feet too much and scare stuff away. But anyway, the point being that, yeah, I mean, around here we have black bears, and black bears are afraid of people. But if you go out to like Yellowstone or something, there's like the grizzly bears, and it's pretty scary, because not only are there grizzlies and they're way bigger and more aggressive, but they also they're the ornery ones where like they get kicked out of Yellowstone, so they're like used to people. So that makes them like extra menacing, because they're actually like they're used to people, so they're not afraid of people, which makes them pretty scary.
Yeah. It's Richard says that in Andorra there, they only have to worry about marmots.
I think we could deal with that.
Yeah. just put my
Stuff's dying. Kids are invading the room.
It's madness.
It's the first live stream of the season, boys.
Yeah, one of hopefully many.
Yeah, I hope so. It'd be kind of fun to make it like a more regular thing. So what's everybody buying this year? I said I'm buying my Steppins. I did buy some new bibs too, because I've always been like a pants guy, but I've kind of been rocking the bibs lately because they're a little steezy. So it's not necessarily I like bibs more, but they look cool. So what about you guys?
I've just got a new pair of goggles on the way. I've always wanted to try spy goggles. So I've been riding like Anons or Oakley or Smith. So I've managed to find a good deal. So I'm excited to get those. And I think I'll probably get a new board before the season starts as well.
What you looking at?
Probably a Solomon, just on a no, probably Assassin or Assassin Pro. I get like a little discount through some friends on those. So yeah, like, and it's good because like I ride Solomon boots as well, so I can normally pick up a deal on those. But yeah, I think new board. I've been riding like a Canadian one, it's called Prior, the last couple of years. But you've got to get a new board, don't you, every now and again?
Yeah, I always try to find some excuse. My wife's like, "What do you mean? You just got a board like a year ago." It's like, but I don't have like a I don't know, like a full traditional camber that's stiff with this flex and this kind of shape, right? Like there's always that. That's how I always excuse it away.
This one's different. This one's different.
Like, I have like a hybrid, a soft hybrid. I have like a camber with a rocker front on it. I have like a pure pop camber, which has got like camber with two flat zones. We're in a twin shape. What I don't have, and I'm still looking for, is like that extra, just like what I haven't had in a while is like your traditional directional shape camber board, right? With a little bit longer nose, short, not super short tail, but shorter tail, like a custom or a DOA, or everybody's got one. It's the purest snowboard there is. It's the snowboard, right? It's that was funny, guys. When I left snowboarding, like there was only one board. It was that board, just a
custom that everybody had.
Yeah. Right. Like there was only one snowboard. I come back to snowboarding 10 years later and I'm trying to buy a new one. I'm like, what are all these shapes? Where I had to become like a big gear junkie for a couple of years there, figure it out. But
it's like having a toolkit, right? It's like you got to have the tools for the various conditions, right? So like last year, I mean, I'd never heard of this phrase until coming to Canada, but rock skis are a thing, right? So it's like you need a set of early season skis to for the not so good conditions if you're riding over tree shoots. And I bought a set of QST blank Solomons last year ahead of the season, just like they were ex cat skiing skis. And like the first 2 weeks of the season, I didn't ruin them, but like basically they went from a good set of skis to my rock skis.
Yeah. No, you know what? We don't really have rocks. Like around here, like when it's like the snow is skimpy, it's just dirt and like leaves and crap under there. But when you go out west, like you do have that. Yeah, it'll rip it up. But I don't believe in rock skis personally. People give me crap for this all the time. I believe it's a tool, not a jewel. Yeah. So like just ride it, beat it up. It gives me an excuse to buy a new one. Like I'm not gonna be one of these like, I'm not gonna ride my favorite pair because it might get a scratch in it. Like they'll be fine, most likely. And if they're not, you can get a new one. It's even better.
Yeah, buy it to use it.
Buy it to use it. I'm with that with everything. Cars, or people buy cars and put them in a garage and keep them polished up. And that's like, why? What's the point of having it if you're not going to enjoy it, right?
It's I mean, having said that, I was really impressed with the ski. And there's actually quite a few skis without bindings. They're on sale in a lot of the shops right now with like 40-50% off. And I also do have like a bit of an affiliate kind of discount thing with something like through work. So I might get another set of those for this year for my touring setup. But before I do all of that, I want to get my boots sorted. I must admit, like, I'm not the biggest gearhead. I'm the type of person where it's like, if I try one or two things and I like it, I'm just gonna use it until it's, well, not broken, but until it's kind of served its purpose. But yeah, the touring setup I really kind of want to get right. So that's probably going to need quite a bit of purchase. But yeah, I'll probably look at Solomon again. But then I also really liked there was a set of Armada skis, and I can't think what model they were, but I've used them twice now with heli skiing, and they were like super light, rode so well right on the top of deep powder. So if I could
almost felt like a snowboard, probably, right, Simon?
Yeah, exactly. Like one of those things that you put both your feet in and you actually have a good time.
You actually float on top of the snow.
Listen, if your idea of having a good time is being sat on the floor for like 80% of the day, then be my guest.
Not me.
No, yeah, no, I don't know. They both have their pros and cons. Like you talked about the bump run, Simon, and had that been on skis, that's probably like a great story. But instead, like on a snowboard, we don't like bumps very much.
Yeah.
So, do you know, I put like a video up last year from I had like a day in Morzine, and it was raining so much, and I thought, I'm not going to snowboard today. I'm going to take out a pair of skis. I had so much fun.
Like,
and it's like
wrecked anyway, might as well ski.
Yeah, but it's like I love them both. There's like conditions which I'll go, well, it's not the perfect day for snowboarding, so I'll go and do this, or I can go skiing, or you're not going to ride POW on today, so let's go to the park. You make your decisions, don't you? But if you can do both, that's the way forward.
Totally. I my kids are gonna get to the age where I'm gonna start teaching them pretty soon. We're gonna teach them how to ski. So I think skiing is it's easy. It's a little easy. I don't know if it's not easier to master, but it's easier to learn without getting the crap beat out of you. And there's less to fuss with. With kids, they can just get on and off the lift. We don't have to worry about bindings and crap like that. And if they want to snowboard eventually, they can snowboard eventually. But we will be picking back up skiing and getting myself a new pair of skis. And like, once again, just the reason to buy something, right, boys?
Hey, like, honestly, I'm going to say something now which will completely ruin the little amount of street cred that I might have. I went away with like my university, all people who were much better skiers than me. So I took a pair of snow blades out, but like they were easy to turn. I could keep up with them. And it's like, I had a great week. I'm not saying that snowblading is the thing. I much prefer skiing, but it served a purpose for that week.
All I'm hearing here is that you two are closet skiers.
I mean, I grew up skiing. So like, I mean, that was like some really special time I had with my family. I learned all the fundamentals of the mountain and love for mountain and love for outside through skiing. So like, we'll go back eventually. Plus I don't know, like, if I'm just being honest, I don't know if like snowboarding is this thing I can do like into my 80s. Like, I'd love to do this for a really long time and make it as life sport as possible. And I think snowboarding is it just beats the crap out of you. So I think skiing is a little easier on your body. So I always say when I get old enough, I'll go back to skiing. To be like 60, 70, 90 years old, and probably just ski it.
I want to be one of those people that's like skiing in their late 80s and 90s for sure. We've got a couple of comments. Gavin has said, "What's up, Gavin? Thanks for joining, buddy. Good to have you on again." But Richard's asking, and this is one for all of us, I think. What kind of content do you have planned for this coming season? I think Richard does a bit of filming as well. He's hoping to just use his GoPro, throw it up. And he's bought a secondhand mirrorless camera to film my friends as an experimental idea. Mirrorless?
Okay. Yeah, so like a DSLR or something, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we usually film like off mountain with nicer cameras, and then we use the GoPros on mountain. So I think GoPros are a great action camera, but I don't really think you need like the fisheye and stuff. I think you probably agree when you're just doing vlogs or off mountain stuff. So, but I swear by GoPros, man. I've had lots of them now. I think ever since the 5. Now I'm on, where are we on, 12 or something? So
Yeah,
great.
12 billion.
Once again, like the things never break. You just get bored and buy a new one because you don't have anything else to buy.
Little tangent though, like, and their customer service is so good. Like, I genuinely, like, you know, Matt, you got the white battery. I can't remember what you call it now. Yeah, I've got some of those, and the little tab fell off. Nothing. Sent them an email next day. Don't worry, one in the post. Had like the GoPro stick, and it snapped. It snapped because I'm an idiot and I fell on it. Sent them an email. Sent me a new one. And like, they value their customers, I think, as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually knew the my ex-boss's wife's brother, it's a mouthful, wrote the software for GoPro. So he's like a big tech guy, like I am, actually. So yeah.
I mean, I'm interested to see how things go with the Enduro battery for this winter. So I'll be honest, I nearly quit GoPro at the end of last year. Like, I was getting so fed up with the old batteries just dying at any temperature. Like, we did have quite a bit of wind this year in Revy in the second half of the year, and it's like, even in the trees, and I'd try and do a little piece to camera, and it didn't matter what percentage at the old batteries were just it was constantly getting shut down, and I was like, it was just making like the filming less enjoyable. And then
you're preaching to the choir there. It's cold Michigan, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's cold Michigan. Like, we got to do the Celsius to degree thing, which I don't want to think about right now. But you know, it's 30 is freezing in degrees, and it'll be under 0 here at times. And the GoPro is just, they aren't happy. I have to stick it in like an inside pocket. If you think you're gonna hook it to your helmet and turn it on, like, it's not gonna be your friend. You gotta like, we hold it by hand, and then we stick it in like an inside pocket and try to keep it warm in the lifts and things like that. Take it out for the shot, wipe the fog off, of course, get the shot, put it back away. But yeah, if you think you're going to hook it to your outside somewhere and just film all day, like, you're going to be very disappointed very quickly. Because it'll last like 4 minutes if it's cold before it dies on a full charge.
I will say that, like, the Enduro batteries have been brilliant for me. Like, I used to have like the blue ones, and I would have like 2 or 3 that I'd go through in a day. And then I bought like the Enduro. They do like a charging thing with 2 batteries, and one battery will last me a day. And that's like non-stop. So I hope you get the same from yours.
Yeah. Well. So I bought 2. They had they had a sale on, I think, post winter, and it was a real good deal. It was like two sets of Enduro batteries for around $40-50. So, you know, pretty reasonable. And I've not had chance to test them out in the winter. I've been able to test them all summer with the heat. They've done a lot better. But yeah, because apparently it's supposed to be like a better quality of lithium within the battery. So yeah, we shall see.
Well, the funny thing with lithium is just, it's either there or it's not. You know, it's the same thing with my iPhone. Like, when I take it skiing, if I put it on an outside pocket, it would be at 100%, and all of a sudden it just won't work. It's just dead. And then it'll warm back up, and it's like 100% again. It just, like, once it gets to a certain temperature, it just fails across the board, where like alkaline batteries like suck in the cold too, but they'd just be like a lot weaker. They wouldn't be like 100 or nothing. So it's definitely, but yeah, no, Richard, I mean, that's what I would say. Like, keep them warm. The Enduros, I do hear better things about, but we don't have any of the Enduros yet. Our crew we keep them warm. You got to keep them in some kind of inside pocket whenever you're not riding. So every lift, put it inside something warm close to the body, so it actually does hold.
So within your crew though, Brad, like, just getting back to the, I guess, sort of some of the content planning and stuff. So from what I'm hearing from you, like, a couple of your other guys help out with the filming process, right? So you got more than one person to get those shots.
Yeah, I think that helps us a lot, honestly, when it comes to like differentiation. Like, a lot of people are trying to film on their own, and we have like this crew of like 14 people that go out and bomb the hills together. So Yeah, like I mean, I'm only filming 1/14 of the time. That's like our biggest trip, but we usually will have like at least like 6 or 7 people with us. So we all take times filming. Actually, the best filmers are the skiers. So like Zach's wife Chelsea or our friend Sean, the ones with the skiers actually are. Skiing's a much more stable platform, and it also you can aim either way. So like riders can be on either side of them, and they can film well. We're like my buddy Zach, when you're on a snowboard, if he's like behind me, right, he's off to the right side, this way. I haven't done it in a while, I guess. If he's off to the left, like I can't see him. I gotta like try to film backwards, and then like try to fix that and post edit or see what I actually got. Where skiing, like I said, they can kind of be like 360 cam at any point, and it's just so smooth. You don't have that sway the same way either. So yeah, we try to get the skiers to do it as much as we possibly can, to be honest.
It's funny you mentioned the 360 because that's one thing I'm contemplating about maybe getting for this year. Whether that's the GoPro one or the Insta 360. I know a marketing official who says that they think the Insta 360 is a better one, but some of the visuals you seem to be able to get from that from a skier's perspective are really unique.
Yeah, super cool. I've just been waiting for the GoPro Max 2 for years. I wanted to buy the Max last year. I was like, it's got to come out, right?
Yeah.
It's ancient. Like the Max is like 4 years old. I'm like, they got to come out with a new one eventually. I'm just a big GoPro fan. Nothing against Instant 360, but no, they didn't, and it doesn't look like they're going to this year. So if GoPro ever comes out with one, I will buy it.
Richard, you got to make sure that your laptop is good though as well and can handle the different speeds and because it's a lot more memory it's taking up because obviously it's filming everywhere.
That's a good point.
Yeah, my I work for a tech company, so my laptop's
okay.
Too good, to be honest.
Can you hook us up then, Brad? We might need, if we all get them. Can you?
Yeah, I think this laptop I'm running has it's got the i9. Like the 12th generation i9, it has 64 gigabytes of RAM. It has like a $4,000 graphics card that's, I believe, 12 gigabytes of DDR6. Like, I mean, they don't spare any expense when it comes to making sure we have cool toys over here.
Nice. Richard's got a comment as well. He was looking at DJI advertising the Osmo Action as being a camera that lasts long in cold temps, but he's skeptical and wondering if that's just marketing rubbish. Has anyone used the Action Cam from DJI?
So I use their drones, and I can't say anything bad about DJI drones by any means. I had the Phantom for a while now. I have the Mini. Love the Mini. I'm blown away with the Mini, honestly. That thing seems like it takes just as good a footage and stable as the Phantom, and it's like handheld, right? So it's just, but no, the problem I have the Osmo Action, I like how they have the Osmo Action's that is the GoPro looking one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I mean, Sean has the Osmo Pocket in our crew, which we use once in a while, but it's got the gimbal, which is really cool, but it also, like, because it has a gimbal, like, if you actually were to fall, like, you wrecked your $400 camera instantly, so we don't use it a ton.
Right.
I use the drones like Brad, the Mini 2, I think. I just love it, like ski jacket or hiking. I've just got like the controller in one pocket, the drone in the other pocket. You can get it out, throw it up, get some cool shots. Never the handhelds.
So I bought the Mini 2, and for the channel I've only used it once this summer. I've used it a lot for my other channel for the cricket stuff, but I actually don't know like if I'm going to be able to use it in Revelstoke because the drone restrictions are just so...
Oh, they're horrible everywhere. Oh. Yeah, that's what I learned with the Phantom. Like, my buddy Zach and I split the Phantom. It was like $600-700. We were like, we need a drone for the channel. It's going to be super cool. And we used it like 2 times in like 5 years. But the Phantom was like almost impossible because it was huge too, where the Mini, you're not supposed to fly them. But like we were in Vail, for example, like we would have got kicked out. You're not supposed to fly it. We were like, like flew it up real quick, got a shot, like flew it back down, took off. Right? So it's always like, do it. Everyone in the group's always like, Brad, do it on the last day, because if I don't want to be kicked out of a $7,000 trip because we flew the drone up, right? So it's like, Yeah, like fly it on the last day, but you live there. You can't get kicked out as your own mountain.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be very, very responsible of me as an employee. But I don't think like it's not that it's banned. It's just that like you've got it's so close to the flight zone of the airport. You've got all the heli skiing operators. Then you're close to the hydroelectric dam, the logging plant. So there's like all these different like flight zones, and it's just like there's all these apparently these different zones, but then like you go and look on all the restrictions, right? And apparently if your drone's under like 250 or whatever it is, you think, okay, so if I've got the mini, then I'm fine because the mini falls under that in terms of the weight restrictions. But then it's like you've got to have this license and that license. And so I did all the basic testing and I got that, but it's like I still don't know if actually I'm going to be able to do it. So, but I'm wondering. And the other problem is that you're all in like everything's in a national park. So
it's been okay here in Europe. The one time that kind of like worried me is I was in Switzerland on my Magic Pass trip, and plugged it in, got my phone connected to controller, put it up, and then a notice came up, and I can't remember the exact amount, but I want to say it like came up, said, if you're going to fly here, you need to be prepared to pay 1 million Swiss francs for any damage. And I was like, no, land the drone back in the pocket. But that was like one resort area out of however many 20 odd that I visited.
Well, the same thing happened to me. So, I mean, and it's different for each place. So it's like yesterday I'm down in Kelowna and we were like miles away from the airport, right? Like you could see the planes taking off. Like we were good. I'm going to say like 15, 20 kilometers away. And I'm setting up to get some aerial shots of this park we're in. And it comes up and it says, you've got to agree to, assume liability for your flight here. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's quick. It allowed me to fly. But then a couple of weeks back, and I'm trying to film something in the park in Revelstoke for something I'm doing. And it like wanted your number. It wanted permits. And I'm like, no.
Well, I had like a slightly different problem the other day. I was out filming a hike, and there was these other guys out there enjoying the mountain on paragliders. How dare they? And like, I just hiked like 6 hours to get to the top of this mountain. And I was like, I'm not going to stick the drone up and kill someone, like just with them like flying about.
Yeah.
So like I had a lovely walk, but I didn't get the shots that I wanted. But I mean, maybe sometimes
I don't know if I've ever enjoyed actually using the drone. Like every time it's just stressful, right? Like it's a decent chunk of change. It's really high. There's a good chance you get in trouble. Like it's not fun, but it is kind of exhilarating. It's like going over a big jump or something where you're like, oh, am I going to get caught? Like my heart's pounding the whole time. My palms are sweating. Like it's not fun at all, but like it does get good shots. So once in a while it's worth the risk. So that you'll see the shots from the Vail trip. Like we got over the city of Vail and it is cool. So Vail is probably going to come after me when I post it, but that's okay. I don't plan on going back there anytime soon anyway.
Yeah.
As long as they don't take away your Epic Pass rights, because like
Epic Pass,
I wanted to like jump in earlier when you were mentioning like kind of defending Vail. Like I kind of don't mind them either, and I know that's like it's a really strange thing to say in like the ski community because like so many people are like they've ruined this resort, but like. I'm not a local, and I've used an Epic Pass in Japan, in Australia, in America, like in Europe. Like all of my skiing last year in Europe.
Like Epic Pass is one of the. This is like if you're local, I get it. I get what it's doing, but like when you're not local, like it is the best thing ever. Like it is. Like what you can ride, the value of it is just ridiculous, right? Actually, for every viewer on right now. I'm not selling for Vail. I don't belong to Vail. But I think like today is the last day to get the Epic Pass, so the prices are going to go up. So if anyone was going to buy one, you probably should buy it today. So
yeah, we're
Vail's behind me, with a.
But like going back to what
just off camera, like holding a gun there. Like,
exactly.
Can we get like an affiliate link in the chat or something?
Yeah, that's what I got to figure today. I'm like, dang it! Like it's like one of those things where it's like. I gotta at least buy the 4-day probably, because you're gonna use it. I'm gonna regret it. Like, it's literally, like, you can ride like the 4-day, for example, you can ride for like $75 to $100 per day for those resorts. Where if I drag my feet, like, gonna just go out west, it's gonna be like $200 a day. So,
but like,
I mean, I will give props to Vail. Like, they are definitely like the king of. They've certainly run a very successful like ski business. And in terms of what they've actually built up, and it's like, all those resorts now under the Epic umbrella, like they're fine financially. Like, obviously there's a lot of turmoil going on within those actual like communities on the ground level, but running a ski resort is quite an expensive thing, and I think they're pretty sorted on cash. So
we have this resort next to us called Mount Brighton. It's a little tiny place, always was family owned. Vail bought them, right. And since they bought them, first they put $9 million into the lodge. They just have this super shack of a lodge, brand new, beautiful lodge. The food now actually resembles food. Like, the food's actually good. Before, it was like, if you ate the food, you're probably going to get sick. And I think we all know what I'm talking about. We've all been to those resorts. They put all new lifts in. They put all new snow system in. So, like, the locals hate it. But, like, it is kind of one of those things where, like, the actual experience has improved, like, quite a bit. Now, Vail does do stupid things. Like, Brighton used to open really early and close really late and kind of had that local vibe. And now, like, Vail will open it in like mid-January and close it in March 1st and stuff like that. But you can't really argue that, like, the resort itself has seen vast improvements, right? So,
well, I think, like, from going back to Richard's original question, which was like, what sort of content are we kind of doing this winter? Some of my videos in November that I've already scheduled to come out are like what it's like to use the Epic Pass as like a European. And I can see Richard's question, which has just popped up. Like, it works out, Richard, to be about £750. But in Europe, you get access to like the free valleys. You get access to Ski Rama Dolomiti, which is 8 resorts. There's access like in Verbier in the 4 valleys. There's a resort in Austria, but more impressively now, they've just brought Andermatt, and so I got to visit Andermatt last April. But if you buy the Epic Pass, you turn up at Andermatt and they give you an Andermatt season pass, and the Epic Pass is cheaper than the Andermatt season pass. And then more than that, now they're like, in Andermatt there's like incredible train journeys, and this year they're going to start including like the train journeys between the ski resorts. And I think for me it's always an option. I'm not using it next year, but like I will use it again in the future. It's always an option.
I think that'll be really interesting to see, because I mean, you'll have a better idea of it, Simon, but I think Brits for so long are just very used to sort of going to one area and buying that area pass. But it definitely seems to be a sort of an American concept, that the multi resort like pass, like, with all these different areas under this business that has bought them. And it's a similar thing with Icon and Mountain Collective, which Revy has agreements with. Epic.
Revy is an Icon resort. Is that what I just heard?
Yeah.
But so it's not the same, is it though, Matt? Because like, although the Icon does have unlimited skiing at some, most of it's limited to 7 days, right?
It depends on which Icon pass you buy. So they have like 3 tiers. One's called the base, one's called the premium. There's another one I think might be base plus or something, but it's either 5 days or 7. But what I think they do really well is then there's like added benefits as part of that. So there's friends and family discounts. So I think with Icon, it's like for friends and family, they would get 25% off the lift ticket rate at the window if you're bringing someone with you. And then there's other discounts of things like the accommodations. So, there's agreements in place. And then the collective, Mountain Collective, you get your first 2 days free. and then it's 50% off any additional days.
Yeah, I've never understood that one as like if you're gonna get a multi-resort pass, having 2 days here and 2 days here and 2 days, like unless you are gonna do like a big road trip and keep going. But I
Yeah,
think if
the Indy Pass is like that around us. There's an Indy Pass for the Midwest where it covers a lot of the Midwest resorts. But unlike, I would buy it in a heartbeat, except unlike Epic, I can't just go every day. I only get a couple at each resort. And it does kind of make it difficult, man, because to your point, I mean, a lot of us repeat. Ideally, you can repeat the same resort as much as you want, but then you can go to a different one here and there. But like the thought of like my home mountain, like Boyne, only getting like 2 days, it's like, well, those are like, I need like 5-10 days there, and then like a couple other places. Like I only get 2 here, and then I got to try to go to other places to make my money back.
Yeah, I mean, it does really, I think, depend on, you know, the type of holiday you have planned, right? So the thing like the collective works quite well for like a type of trip called the ski safari, which I hadn't heard about again until coming to Canada. So it is that type of, you know, trip where you fly in somewhere and you do 2, maybe 3 days in one place, and then you move on to somewhere else. So for example, you know, if we just kind of keep it like near the area where I am, like I'm just kind of like looking on the collective website right now. So you've got, within our area, you've got Revelstoke as part of the collective. You've got Panorama, you've got Some Peaks, and then you've also got, it's not Big Sky, sorry, it's Banff and Sunshine. So they're all within, you know, maybe 3 or 4 hours, right? And so if you're flying out here for maybe a 10 or 14-day trip, you know, that's possibly 3 or 4 resorts you can fit in instead of maybe one place where you might be there and the conditions might not be good, right?
But then equally, I think the Icon has Banff, Sunshine. What's the other one there? Norquay. So you get 7 days, and then it has Kicking Horse, Kimberley. All like, so is it RCR who own those resorts? So you get 7 days there.
Yeah, I mean RCR. I wouldn't be surprised if someone like, you know, you never know if like I mean that is an area, it's quite close to to Calgary, right? So you get all the pull there from the city. But the thing about the Banff Sunshine is it's, I'm not going to say it's confusing, but you have each of those resorts on their own, Banff, Sunshine, Lake Louise. And then you've got Banff Sunshine, which is its own entity. And then there's like a 3 resort pass called Ski Big 3. Yeah. So with all these different agreements, whether it's like Icon or Collective, you've got to look at the finer print and see which one applies. Because I know quite a few people have come to Revy in the past thinking that, you know, hey, I get this discount through that, and yeah, you know, can get easily muddled.
I guess the main thing here is it's great that resorts are coming together and being like, how can we offer like our patrons a better experience?
Yeah, sure, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, now the Indy Pass in general, I really like conceptually. I just wish it was more like the Epic and that I could use it unlimitedly. Then they would get my business every year. I do it just to locally support them, quite frankly.
Yeah, I follow a couple guys on Twitter. Oh, can I call it Twitter anymore? X. X. Who like use the Indy Pass, and they love them, like traditional little resorts that don't have huge football, like Whaleback, places like that. So yeah, I think it is one. If maybe you're a weekend skier, Indy Pass makes good sense.
Yeah, no doubt, and that's what we are. So I mean, I guess we could ask that. Like, how many days are you guys riding? Richard, I'll start with Richard. He's been in the chat a lot. Like, Richard, how much you riding, buddy?
Yeah.
That's one thing you don't know about us. Like we only ride like 10 days a year. So we don't have any place like that close to us. So we actually, every trip for us is a trip, which requires like travel, lodging, like they're expensive, right? Even Boyne, which is, 4 hours away, it's a 4-hour drive, but we're going to spend $1,000 that weekend for lodging and tickets and things like that. So funny thing with Michigan is our resorts are very tiny compared to Colorado, but like, because there's nothing else around, you pay the same price. Right, you literally do. Like you pay as much to ride a day at 500 vertical at Boyne, Michigan, as you do to go to like Breckenridge, Colorado. So it's just it's crazy. But yeah, no, we do like five-ish like trips a year where we spend a whole weekend on mountain. We usually stay ski in, ski out. We spend a decent amount of money and have fun with it. But we don't get to go out and just ride every day.
Yeah. Richard says he rides. He's riding every day, so he's got he's a three minute drive from a chairlift, so he gets to ski daily. Last winter, I think I got in about 60 days, and then the winter before, I got over 75 in Revy.
Yeah, I'm probably fluctuating between 50 and 70. Which is kind of it. Like I miss living in mountains doing seasons so much. But I guess now I have a balance of when I'm in a mountain, I'm not working now. So all of my mountain time is my time. Whereas before, like when I was working seasons, I might be doing 90, 100 days on snow, but 5 days a week, I was maybe with toddlers, which I tell you what is great fun on the nursery slope but it's not riding for yourself, is it?
No, it's not. It's like the kind of like trying to figure that out, because it's like getting my kids into skiing is like, I'm excited about it, but at the same time, like skiing is my one last thing that I do for myself. It's like this, I go with my guys, we drink a lot, we have a lot of fun, and like we ride hard stuff, and like going back to like hanging out at the bunny slopes with your kids is like, I'm sure it'll be fun, but it's also like, I got
to be honest with you guys. That's one thing I actually really, really miss about like the trips. And I don't know, like it's hard when you actually work in the industry, like, or in the town to I think find like a group of friends, because everybody, well, not find a group of friends, but find a group of guys and girls you can go riding with regularly, because everybody's on these different work schedules all the time, and people flake out, or people are not as up for it as you are. Like I'm the type of person where it's like, okay, if there is a powder day, or even if it's not, like I want to go up there and make the most of it as much, for my own personal thing. And then there's the added dynamic of with the filming, I'm like always wanting to get content, and it's like, well, I've not. Whereas like with you, Brad, you've got a group of guys and girls who are all cameras all the time. You're all filming, and with someone else there, it's a whole different dynamic, which I don't really have much. So often I'm just up riding on my own a lot of the time. Might hook up with a buddy for a couple of laps, maybe near the end of the day, but yeah, normally solo.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm very fortunate for, is we all kind of get stoked about it together. We all film, we all get excited. I do the edits. Zach helps me with the narrative. He helps me with the storyline, the plotting, and then Chelsea's behind the scenes. She's kind of like our unofficial producer. She's always coming up with like how it's all going to lay out and what we need to be doing. And you got a bunch of like drunken idiot dudes, and then Chelsea's the one that's like, hey guys, we got to like make sure we actually get this shot. Like, so I'll be mad about it as much as anybody when I come home and got to try like the boys trip every year. If anybody's watching doesn't know the boys trip, like once a year we go on this trip. It's just guys. We just party hard for like 4 days straight. But that's the trip I always come home and try to edit, and I'm like, because it's like yes, people shoot stuff, but we're all so like blazed out of our mind that it's just like it's all garbage, and trying to figure out how to like turn that into something is just such a pain in the butt. So like Chelsea's the person that's like, hey, we need to actually get this shot, you need to shoot this, we need to do this. Like she's the one that's kind of always behind the scenes making sure we capture what we need, because it makes my job as the editor a lot easier when we actually got the right caption in the first place.
Hey Brad, I've got a question about the boys trip. Why the Mighty Ducks? Stupid question, but why the Mighty Ducks jerseys?
So the story behind that is Sean liked the Mighty Ducks and he liked to wear jerseys, and he wore this jersey to the mountain one time. And when he brought it that year, it was like the hit of the whole mountain. It's like the coolest guy. Like everyone was like, "Go Ducks!" Like the Flying V, like yelling to him. Every time we go to a bar, everyone would cheer. It was like, because it's a party, man. Like Boyne Mountain is a party. And so we were like, we got to go bigger next year, right? We should all wear them. So then we all wore them the next year. And as you can imagine, people were coming up taking their picture with us and everything. And now we just kind of feel like we kind of have to, right? Like it's kind of like become a tradition at this point.
I love quality movies. You can't get past it. Some quality movies.
That's awesome, man. It always just looks like you guys are having such fun as well. Like I'd love to make over a trip just to get soaked in with that atmosphere, you know, and see.
I would love to have you guys sometime. We got to figure that out. So it's definitely it's always the vibe. Like I get on like snowboarding forums and stuff because like I ride 10 days a year, but I stoke every day of the winter. I promise you that. Yeah. Right. I got a little backyard set up. So I don't technically only ride 10 days. I go to resorts 10 days a year, but I actually I have a little backyard set up where I practice and stuff and play around. But anyway, yeah, no, it's always fun. And like people on Reddit and stuff will be like, what do you guys do when you start getting bored? Because you're on the mountain all the time. I'm like, never bored. Like we're always just like so excited to be there. Right. It's just like, we got away. We're here. We're enjoying every moment. It don't matter if it's raining or slush or dirt, or it's always fun, man. Skiing. If you can't have fun skiing, you're doing it wrong. That's all.
Imagine going to a mountain and being bored. Like,
I can't imagine it. Like, I can't imagine having so much access to it that I do it so much that I'm actually like, you know what? I don't want to be doing this now.
Do you know what? I went to visit my friends last year, and like I love my mates, but they've all work at a ski school out in France, and they'd have lessons in the morning, and like at midday, I'd be like, "Oh, you're finished. Let's go for a ride." And they'd kind of be like, I think I'm done." I'm like, "What do you mean? Like, come on, I'm all the way like here. Let's go for a ride." They'd be like, "I think I'm done." So I think like in like the week, like maybe we had like 2 or 3 laps together. So like I still had like a great time going off, meeting other people, riding by myself. But
I can get that though. Like you know, if you're working on the mountain, you get into a mindset, I think, where maybe you feel like it's kind of your office. You know, that's kind of why I don't think I'm kind of glad I didn't go through with the coaching badges, because it's like, yeah, you know, especially, you know, I imagine some mornings instructing kids can be quite frustrating, and yeah, you kind of just want to go off and, I don't know, go to a bar or something else. But I'm with you there.
You have like a ton of access to it. Like I can't imagine having fun with it really. But I would say like I was like really into video gaming, for example. And then when I started working in tech and I spend 8 to 12 hours a day on a computer screen. Yeah. I actually don't want to get on my computer and play games and stuff. Right. So you're kind of like, I've been looking at this for 8 to 12 hours already. I don't want to spend any more time on this. I want to do something else. So that was, I guess I could kind of see it from that end. I hope we don't lose Matt eventually. This enthusiasm for it, but
it is so funny. Like if you're on a ski school lineup, so what would normally happen, at least in North America, you get guaranteed minimum hours. So say like you've got a possible 6-hour day, the resort guarantees to pay you for 4 on your day. So like if there's no lessons, you still get like your 4 hours. But you'll be on the lineup and like they'll say, "Oh, we've only got lessons for, say, I don't know, 3 people." And it's like, "Does anyone want to sign out for today?" And everyone's just like, "Yeah." Like without, because realistically, most instructors, like as much as I loved it and loved the job, you're not there most of the time to teach. You're there to like free lift pass, get out on the snow, unless you are someone who has got to your level 3s, your level 4s, you're coaching like top people all the time and you're off around the mountain, then yeah, like what an incredible job.
Yeah, no, for real. Be right back.
Yeah, no problem. We've got a couple of questions, but just to let you guys both know. So I have a thing with each of these live streams, right, where we'll pick someone who's put the best question in the comments, and they get a free free goggle sock, Bramski goggle sock, bit of merch. So I mean, at some point, you guys, well, I'll get you guys to pick what you think's the best comment. But Joe's back, so I don't think he was here when you answered his original question, Simon, about your qualifications. So I think he's asked again, what qualifications have you got?
Yeah, so I did the Canadian route, to be honest. And if Andy's still here, I'm assuming like he's maybe gone down the Basie route.
I don't know. Andy, are you still here? I don't know. Maybe.
So like when I was looking into it anyway, the Basie route, the Canadian route, the New Zealand route were kind of the three options that I considered.
Yeah.
And everything that I had been told really is if you want to make money, work in Europe, do the Basie route.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that I did it, what I wanted was the experience. And so I went and did mine in Canada. And it's been brilliant for me. I have taught in Italy using it. I've taught in Canada, in Australia, and it's been useful and in the UK actually, in the domes, just as like part-time jobs. But Canadian level 1, level 2, and the park. Although, if you watch my channel at all, how I got a park qualification, I got no idea. Just must have had like a really good day, because park scares the hell out of me. I love doing it; it's fun, but I still get that fear.
It must be quite. I mean, I noticed though with the parks for you guys, there's so much more you can film, right? Because there's so much playing around you can do. So that must be quite exciting as a boarder to delve in there. But yeah, nerve-wracking.
Do you know what? One of the things, and I said earlier about wanting to go to glaciers like October, May, is I want to put myself in a position again where actually there isn't much terrain open, but that like Zermatt through the summer has like a great park, for example. When I was living in China, so I taught out there for a bit, I went to a place called Tiger Ridge, and it's just a terrain park. It was opened up by some guys who worked at Whistler, and they were brought over to like build basically a terrain park on a mountain so that Chinese skiers and snowboarders could practice before the Beijing Olympics. And I went there for a week, and all I did was ride terrain park. And you find it like you just get better and more confident, but it's just having the way to do that all the time. And maybe dry slopes in the UK, like the Chill Factory is not that far away from me. They do their freestyle. We've got a couple here where I'm living in Cumbria now, like dry slopes that do freestyle nights. Maybe that's the way.
Is Brad still hiding behind the seat, or like what? I thought he had his head popped up for a second, because Richard is saying, Brad, I totally get it. I'm a software developer too. I just love shutting my laptop down and forgetting about tech. What else we got here? Joe was there saying about the qualifications. I noticed on the pistes too that the instructors are not having a good time between lessons. That's pretty much what your observation was, Simon.
Yeah, kind of like I would always look at it. We had like a 6-hour day of work in. You'd do a couple of lessons. Maybe you'd have like 45 minutes to like an hour. I would always just go and ride. Like, especially like some peaks where you could go and do a couple of laps really quickly, still get some food. A lot of people would just go in, sit, wait for the next lot of lessons. I'm like, well, you're here for that experience, really.
Yeah. Right. This Joe's question here is real good.
Love this.
Brad, I don't know if you heard it, by the way, on the subject of good questions. So each of these live streams, I pick someone from the comments who's answered a real good comment, and send them a free goggle sock. So
okay,
you guys can look out because you're going to decide at the end of this stream. But let's just keep this rolling. So, my question is from Joe: if you could change the one thing about the snow industry, what would it be?
Okay. Should we do like a realistic and an unrealistic? Because my unrealistic would be massive investment in making snow so we could have the ski resorts open all year. Like that, like if I could change one thing, that would be it.
Put a dome over every ski resort, so
exactly,
we can ride it all the time, right?
But that's not too far fetched, though, right? Because aren't they trying to build a ski resort in Dubai or Abu Dhabi for the ski Olympics or something?
Yeah, well, they've got a pretty massive dome in Dubai anyway. I know that like China's got some huge ones, like the one in Harbin that's like hosted massive competitions. But yeah, I think Dubai's got like indoor chairlift, multiple runs. Pretty sick. But like
I have a good answer for this side. I think for me, it's just accessibility. You know, plain and simple. It's still kind of an elitist sport, to be honest, done by the rich, and to some degree, like some middle class discover it and can do it. And I think that's where we're all at. I don't think any of us are super rich, but I'd say at the same time, it's extremely expensive. Like for you to get into skiing, you know, in even my 200 vertical local resorts, like you're going to spend hundreds of dollars, like at least $100 if you want to go try the sport, right? By the time you rent the gear, you get the lift ticket. Like if you just want to go try it, it's going to cost you at least $100. And I just, they got to figure out a way to make it more accessible if they really want to grow and sustain it.
But I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate here, right? Because haven't we just been spending like the last, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes? We're talking about all these multi-resort passes and all the benefits and all the discounts. Like
that costs $800 though. I mean, if I'm like a 14-year-old without a lot of money that just wants to try this, like that's $800.
Like going for the first time.
But what? Okay, but okay. So I certainly agree. It's a very expensive sport to get into. But then, like, isn't that the same with mountain biking? It's like I've here in the summer, for example, like there's a part of me that feels quite left out because everyone's like in the revy scene in the summer. It's like mountain biking. Oh, dude, you got to come up. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to fork out $4,000 or $5,000 for a mountain bike, and rental is this much. Plus, then you got to get the gear and then the pass. So I would agree that skiing's an expensive sport to get into, and that does make things difficult initially for accessibility. But then on the flip side, let's look at like equipment, for example. And I know, Brad, you and I have had a couple of comments on this, but let's like the ski clothing can be quite expensive, right? Like you need your jacket, you need your gloves, pants, helmet, all those type of things. We've got
but you can get it from Dope, and they'll give you a pretty good deal.
Right, but I was just about to mention Dope. This is what I mean, right? Okay, so yeah, full disclosure, obviously Dope sent me a care package last year, but they seem to have like completely divided the current sports community. And in Europe, all the feedback I hear is that it's like completely taken over. A lot of like newbies into the sport absolutely love it because it is good quality, and then it's also relatively affordable. And then there's a portion certainly of the American market that are already within the ski community, and they hate it. And I'm like, doesn't that prove part of the image problem there though, where it's like we're trying to make the sport more affordable for people, and yet
totally. I mean, it's a cultural thing for sure. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I could say it's a problem, but it doesn't mean we're not helping with that problem. It's same with golf. I mean, golf I'm always like should be more accessible too. But if you go on a golf course as a beginner, like all the golfers will try to run you off the course. They hate you.
Right, so but why does skiing get such a bad rap? Do you know what I mean? It's like you don't have that same sort of. I mean, maybe you do to a certain degree, but you don't have this stereotype of like, our golf is such an elitist sport. We need to make it more accessible. Mountain biking is so costly to start off with. How do we bring that cost down? But with skiing, there's a lot of focus on it.
Travel as well, though. Like if I wanted to mountain bike, I could buy or hire a bike and go from my house, and I would at least be able to ride down a hill and get into it and then get a feel for it. If I wanted to play golf, I'm not going to have to fly across the country, where it's like, say if you're based here in the UK, you haven't been skiing, like if you're not near a dome to try it out, then you probably are going to be flying to Europe. Or like my first trip was with college, and we flew to America to get into it for the first time. But like I've seen a load of stuff on Twitter with people talking about dope and being like, they don't want to see like, oh, why can't they just buy like a Patagonia or like an Arc'teryx? It's going to last so much longer. It's like,
because it's $400, $500.
Exactly. And if people are on like the mountain, his name escapes me now, but there's a snowboarder at the moment who's making shorts, who is absolutely killing it. He's in New Zealand at the moment, and all his thing was, it was like, I went to the thrift shop and I got my first pair of boots, and I bought a board, and it cost me like $80. And then every so often, like I got a better pair of gloves when I had some money, and now like he's doing it all the time. But it doesn't have to be expensive. But I think when people, like, we always talk about like Gaper's Gap, like with helmets and goggles, like new people to the sport, people take the mick out of them, or it's Jerry Day or whatever. But like, and I get it, it's funny, but also like they're new, support them.
There's nothing worse though, like when you're a content creator and like you know better and you know what a Gaper's Gap is, and then like you film, like we filmed in Killington, and like there was a point before I went in and noticed or whatever, I filmed all this footage and I was like, son of a, I remember going to like the bathroom and looking in the mirror and be like, son of a, like I had like a gap, like, God, I can't use any of this footage now. Like maybe I'll use a little bit, but I know it's going to get a comment. But
Joe, I mean, Joe asked us this question, so he started us off on this. Joe, it'd be interesting to know your thoughts on accessibility and trying to make that more accessible. How do we do that in the industry? Because like for sure it is a problem, but I also think there's a perception problem as well.
So you think it's more gatekeeping is the problem?
I think so.
That's the perfect thing there. It's a gatekeeping thing with dope snow. Where I posted some shorts on TikTok about this because it's like people just literally love to make fun. The actual snowboarders love to make fun of people that ride that stuff, that were the people that work in shops and stuff, because they hate it, right? I mean, and it's like, dude, like brick and mortar's dead. This is nothing dope did. They're making it more accessible. I think they make pretty cool designs and stuff. Maybe the bigger brands should challenge themselves to making bigger, like more interesting designs. Like the bigger brands try to appeal, I feel, to such a large audience that a lot of their stuff is kind of
I mean, no doubt. Like, I mean, the Patagonias and North Faces and Arc'teryx make great products. I mean, I've got a jacket through work, but why is it trendy and cool for those brands to be, for it to be acceptable at the prices that they are, and yet a lesser brand, or not lesser brand, sorry, that's not a lesser cost, but also a trendy brand, and yet it gets all this like, this sort of.
Can I take it a step further? And maybe this is a stretch of a tangent, but like skiing was here first, and then snowboarders turned up and they weren't paying for their lift pass. They were hiking up, and then they were, not paying for the lessons. They were giving it a go, and it was like, you can't do it. And then even to this day, you have like Deer Valley or Mad River Glen that like won't let us on the mountain.
Also,
there has always been like this gatekeeping, and it's so stupid. And like, if you go on YouTube, type in like snowboarder outer, there's a video of like snowboarders like sat in the car park at Alta trying to get signatures for their petition to like open it up. And some of the responses are so stupid. It's like, well, you can't ski this mountain. You'll ruin the snow. What are you talking about? Like, literally, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And it's the same. Like, people, like, I love like skiing and snowboarding so much, and
Yeah.
like one of my favorite things is seeing other people do it.
Yeah.
But like, I've made an effort to like get friends to come for like the first time, teach them whatever, and it's like, why are so many people opposed to like new people trying
You
it?
know, that's a fun fact, Simon, as my little crew. Is you realize Zach and I were the only ones that actually rode when we were growing up. That's not true. Zach, I, and Spence. Spence is Zach's brother. You'll see him occasionally in videos. But we were the only ones that actually rode.
Yeah.
The whole
And now
rest
it's
of the
14.
crew we built by teaching each one of those people how to ride, or getting them into the sport, or their girlfriend getting them into the sport, or whatever
So
it was.
good.
Actually, we built that crew up kind of from the floor up. But yeah, no, I agree. It is kind of fun. Just
Yeah.
I love, like, I live in some snowboarding forums and stuff like that where I just answer questions.
Yeah.
Like, all the time. Like, I just love teaching people stuff, and like they have all this knowledge that we've absorbed. And like, why wouldn't you want? I want to see as many people into it as possible. That would make the ski industry grow, and that'll make us all happier. We'll all benefit from that, right? So
I think that's what I mean. I would say link to your point there is that actually I wish more of the current ski community would do more to sort of fight against this image that it is an elitist sport. Like, no doubt there's a cost barrier right now to getting into the sport, but if you walk down the street in a UK city or whatever and asked someone, okay, to sort of paint the picture of someone who went skiing, and they would tell you it's a middle class, wealthy white person, right?
Jack Wills.
Hey,
Jack Wills Brigade.
yeah, Jack Wills, Abercrombie and Fitch, all that type of thing, Range Rover driving, blah blah blah. But like, when you've spent the time in the resorts, like we have, you've lived there and breathed there on a daily basis, and you spend more than 5 days on a trip out there, you see that that's not the case. I mean, it's not.
it's definitely not the case. I mean, your average skier is definitely like a blue collar, like, you just, if you didn't grow up with it, I grew up with it. So like, I've always understood, like, don't get me wrong, like, depending on where you go, like, I'm sure you go to Whistler, when we were in Vail, trust me, it's bougie, right?
Yeah.
Like, Beaver Creek is very bougie, but those places with the rich tourists are coming from around the world. Like, there's definitely rich people out there, but still, I mean, you still have your, when you go to Colorado or something, you have a lot of those riders are people that like moved out there in their early 20s that have no money at all. They're bartending or something just to make enough to pay for their Epic Pass so they can ride every day, or lifties, or people like yourself that are just out there, grinding for the ability to ski. So that's, most of us aren't rich that do it. It's just a kind of an expensive sport to get into. That's all.
But those people as well, like, I know from like having worked in resorts, like when it gets like President's Week or whatever, everyone who works in the resort is like, oh my God, there's so many people here. Like, it's ruining the experience. There's like, hold on, those people are paying for you to live there the whole year. Like, they're the reason
to have the experience. Yeah,
they're the reason that you are able to live in a mountain and do that. And it's
if
like,
you don't want the hobby you like to have nobody doing it, that's not good. Like, if every day you go to Revy and it's empty, like, Revy's gonna go away. That's the reality. Like, yes, you don't want it so crowded that it's like unenjoyable, but like, there's got to be a happy medium to that.
Yeah, Revy, I mean, there's definitely, that kind of ties into a bit of the issue around housing right now in Revelstoke. Like, the affordability of housing in town, like, that's a thing to open up. But we're kind of
let's talk about that for a second, because like and I'll just give you Vail. Like, Vail, the biggest complaint right now is they don't pay the employees wages that are high enough to actually live in the town to do the work. Right? Like, the cost of living in like Summit County, for example, where Brack and Keystone and Vail, I think, is right outside of Summit County, but like that area, Colorado, for example, it's like one of the most expensive places in the U.S. to live, right? Up there with like Beverly Hills and some of these ridiculous places. And the resort people they're getting a ski pass, basically. You talk more about this, but you basically get a ski pass and minimum wage. So it's like, you can't actually live there. So like, that's the big thing why people hate Vail right now is they don't feel they pay appropriately and you can't actually survive at the resort you're trying to work at.
That would have been my serious answer, to pay people who work in the industry properly. Whether that's like in North America, like I don't mind sharing this because it doesn't matter to me, but like when I was working at ski resorts in North America, I was earning like 14, 15 Canadian, like an hour, unless you were selling like privates. So like that's nothing by the time like you've lived or whatever. So you're relying on people like you doing a good job and getting tips, etc. When I was working in Australia, I was getting like the equivalent of, I think, £20 an hour and working like longer hours. So it was much more sustainable. In Europe, like my friends who are level 4s, level 5s can earn, you know, your 50, £60 an hour for like an hourly rate for a normal lesson, not even like a private. So there's no reason why, I guess, well, why the North American resorts are underpaying, like, because is there a workers shortage? Like, are they struggling to get people? Because that's got to be part of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, ever since COVID, nobody wants to work in the United States. That's for sure.
It's
it's like everybody is hiring right now. If you're not working in the States, you are not choosing to work in the States. That's all there is to it. Every place you go down the road is trying to find people.
Yeah.
And our service is trash. Like fast food is not fast food anymore. Let's put it that way. Like McDonald's is 25 to 30 minutes to get them. You might as well go sit down in a restaurant because there's one guy running the whole restaurant. Nobody wants to work.
Yeah.
Like, that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Politics, but like nobody wants to work in the States right now.
No, well, I mean, I guess if we keep it to sort of the tourism and the ski industry, right, that there definitely was a big staffing shortage coming out of the pandemic, and as things were starting to open up, you know, a large, I think, a generation of people in their sort of mid-20s who maybe were either just getting into the industry, had done a couple of years, and just decided they didn't want to go back. Which can you blame them, really? And you know, in another universe, that might have been me. But like, you know, if you love doing this enough, you keep at it. But yeah, like there was a lot of shortages. I do know though, like I'm pretty sure Vail, was it the end of last year or even before last winter, they did do a company-wide price hike, like, you know, an increase on the minimum wages because they like. And I know a lot of other companies did recognize that it was important to try and keep hold of these guys. But the problem, as we kind of started on, is actually living in a ski town. Like it is a challenge on so many levels. I mean, I'll say generally about Revelstoke, because of where Revelstoke is, everything to get anything into town that you might need, right, to live, but it's a long way to bring it here, so it's going to cost a lot. So the gas or fuel costs a lot, the groceries cost a lot. Then you're getting into the housing situation, which is so pivotal right now, and I know that it is an issue more and more now in some of the European ski towns, from what I'm hearing. But Revelstoke's, it's a microcosm, I think, of the largest supply and demand issue. But it also ties into this thing where it's like people are, including myself, think the prices of housing and renting is way too high. But also those people who kind of buy those houses, you know, they're paying a lot of the local staff to build that house, and you know, and those staff need housing. So those staff who are working on building those properties are putting money into the local hotels or the local thing, and it's like a cycle right now that is getting a lot of attention within tourism and ski towns.
But the difference, Matt, between like North America and Europe, I guess, is you go to a European ski resort, it's expensive. You buy a drink, it's expensive. Your accommodation is expensive. But if you work there, you can earn a good wage.
True.
Like to the point that like my friends who teach skiing in France, they can work for their winter, and most of them they don't really do that much in the summer. Like they'll travel, or they'll have like a little job back at home, but more to keep busy rather than to be their main income. Whereas in Canada, I was working 2 jobs, so I was like instructing and retail to pay rent and to live. So then that's eating into your experience, which I guess then turns around to people going, well, if I'm working all the time, am I enjoying it as much?
Yeah.
Whereas, like, so when you were working in Europe, did you get like accommodation and stuff like thrown in with?
Yeah, well, yeah, like when I was working with Crystal, definitely. But I kind of feel when you're starting out in the industry, you think that's great. You think it's great the work is sorting you out with accommodation. And then the longer you work into it, you realize, well, hang on, that's 300, 400, however much it is a month, that's automatically going out of my paycheck. And so then you do another year and you go, well, next year, actually, I'm not going to go out and party as much, which, you know, is probably a good thing. But it is, you know, it's like I don't know. A lot of resorts out here now are starting to invest in staff housing, and yeah, it's something to be aware of, I think, when you're starting out in the industry. Joe, I'm going to get back to your snowboarding questions in a minute, but just I want to keep this issue going because Richard's got a comment here. I talked to the migrant workers here in Andorra, and they're really struggling. Rents are up hugely. They used to be able to survive the summer on their winter incomes, but not anymore.
Can I ask Richard if, because Andorra is one of the places where British instructors can still be in the EU, is there still a European community of workers out there, Richard, like yourself, or have most moved home or onto other places?
That's a good question because I know speaking with Andy Rose, I don't think he's on the chat anymore, but you know, again, coming out of COVID and post Brexit, Austria had a problem that because most of the Brits couldn't really go work in Europe anymore. I think they lost like basically half of their instructor force. So, you know, and eventually that's been replaced now by other European instructors, but the quality of those instructors has maybe taken a while to get up to the level as before.
Oh, he switched.
We've had a reshuffle.
Switch sides. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I thought we lost you.
Yeah.
It's interesting what you were saying there, though, Matt. Like, as a teacher, we took a ski group to Italy last year for their ski trip, and we used a popular British school tour operator whose name I won't name.
I wonder who that might be.
Very strong influencer on YouTube, though.
I worked for them going back a few years, and I'm not saying me, but I'm saying the instructors that I worked with were all higher level instructors that did a good job. Now, my experience of our school trip last year is actually a lot of the instructors who were British and had their passports for another like European nation, they were either level 1s, so they hadn't had the experience yet, which is fine. Everyone has to start somewhere. Or
we'll start gatekeeping, Simon.
No, but or they were European instructors who genuinely, a couple of them had really good English and their classes went fine, and a couple of them didn't. So like we're finding that that maybe instructors are struggling to get those jobs in those resorts now, and that's then affecting the product.
I think in answer to Joe's original question on this, which was, you know, if we could change one thing about the industry, I would think that in an unrealistic answer would be that the road, the pathways. I wish the pathways to building a career in working in the ski industry, I wish they were a lot more simple, a lot more open to a lot of people. You know, I wish there was a lot more different career paths, because, you know, I do feel for instructors, because I think unless you're either like you have your level 4 or 5 or whatever, or you're a director of a a snow school, it doesn't really strike me as something that, you know, you can do for multiple years.
I found that.
Yeah, that's that hit that on the head.
in the beginning, like when it was coming to me, like, do I stay snowboard instructing or do I go back to teaching?
Yeah.
It was like, for me and my level, like the teaching I find has not been an issue. That's been my background. But like for me to get to a snowboard level, to get that level 4, to then be able to get that pay, like you have to do like the Euro test, which for like for people who don't know, they send like, for skiing example, they'll send like an actual ski racer down a giant slalom, and then you have to do the same course and finish within a minute percentage of what they got. So
you
like
got with the ski racer,
like so they'll send a snowboarder down for the snowboarding race, but like for the skiers, they'll send a giant slalom racer down, and as a level 4, you have to be within a certain percentage of what they get. And like some of my friends spent thousands and thousands of pounds on training and then retests. And every time you want to do the test, it's like 400 or 500 quid, and you need all the gear and you need your special race boots. So it goes right back to like what Brad was saying earlier about, to get into it, you're going to have to spend a lot of money and to get to that level.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and it's interesting too, because I'm a strong believer some people just have better natural talent than others at certain things. And level 4 is tough, man. I mean, anybody can do level 4. It's very technical. But I thought you were going to say that the snowboarder's got to do it at the same time as a skier, because I'll give you one thing, Matt, going way, 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 way back to the beginning of this conversation. Snowboarding is more fun. If you do it for a little bit, you realize that. But skiing they're so much faster. Like, it is so hard to keep up with my skiing friends with a snowboard. Like, skis are so fast in comparison. I mean, they got to be like 25 to 50% faster than a snowboard when you're going down the hill. They're so fast.
Can I just jump back in really quickly, just because it might be something that's of interest to Joe if he is thinking about doing like his levels. If he's in Europe, he does his level 1, level 2, perfect. But like, Joe, if you went to Canada or New Zealand and you got a job in a ski school, normally your training is free. So in the afternoons, they'll take instructors out and do training. So like they'll put you into a group, right? You want your level 3 next. Whereas in Europe, if you're working for a ski school, in general, you will have to pay the ski school to give you that upskill. So it's worth considering.
Yeah, good point. I guess we're probably going to need to like wrap this up shortly, guys. But the one thing I want to really just highlight is that the one thing I would realistically want to change about the industry, and I do think it can happen, is like making it, I hope that they can improve the situation around housing for people working in the industry. Europe has had a couple of well-documented cases in the last couple of years of staff housing burning down, and even in some cases it's led to like a loss of life. And so I'm hoping that things get better across the board, and just I think like simply building more houses, right? I think one of the reasons why maybe also like people don't hang around in ski towns as often, it's like similar thing with a pathway to build a career. It's like, well, more and more now, it's like, how am I going to be able to like afford a house? It's like everybody's dream, I think, would be to live in a ski town all year round, right? But unless, it's just like nigh on impossible right now. But that's what I wish would improve.
You're doing it, Matt. You're living year round in a ski resort.
Living the dream, man.
Well, yeah, I'm living
until Canada kicks him out, but he's living the dream for now. I don't know if you ever concluded that story. Like, are you good for a while, or are you getting kicked out?
No, I'm not good right now. It's like,
no.
It's like this might go on. This might go on for another half an hour. Let's see. But no, last week I think I told guys on the live stream, hey, I've sent the application in for my visa extension. I'm on like implied status. We're good for now. Last Thursday, I got an email straight back. Your application for your visa extension has been rejected. So now I'm quite stressed out by it all, to be honest with you. And I'm like having conversations with my employer just trying to figure out what my options are. And I think this is getting down to the wire because, like, effectively, it's now from today. It's 24 days that my visa expires.
Ooh.
They're coming
What's
for you,
what's
Matt.
the backup plan? Like, where do you actually come from, Matt?
I'm
in Japan. When I like ran into you, you're in Japan, but you're not from Japan, obviously. Like,
no, can you not hear the same accent as Simon?
Okay, so you were around Simon, or did you guys originally ride together, or just in the same area? Or?
It's a similar thing. We kind of just connected through YouTube, I think.
Yeah,
and we've not.
We need to get some laps, Matt.
We do.
Yeah,
well,
apparently in the next 24 days.
Yeah. See you at Hemel Hempstead.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like, I mean, in answer to your question there, Brad, like, what's plan B?
What's plan B?
I've really not wanted to try and think about that, to be honest.
Ooh, I like that.
Like, summer's been quite. Yeah, summer's been.
I got this new boss, and he said his mom, when he was growing up, said, "If you get into a fight, better win. Otherwise, I'm going to kick your ass too, and you get 2 L's. So either A, you get the W, or B, you get your ass kicked twice." That's what Matt said. He's like, "I'm not thinking about losing. I'm not going to lose."
Yeah, I literally said that to my folks this morning, though. I was like, I don't have the capacity right now to be thinking about a plan B. I'm not willing to accept this at the end, but like, I am going to have a couple of like tough conversations this week, and the decisions are going to have to be made because, like, there's a lot of things riding on it. And when you're renting in someone else's house, for example, that's one decision. But yeah, who knows? Failing that, I might just come out and do a winter of hooking up with all you guys and do a season of riding.
All right, yeah, come to the States. You're probably welcome here for a couple months, maybe, until they kick you out of here. I don't know anything about the visa. I just grew up here.
Yeah,
right? So,
I don't know.
But yeah, no, I mean, Tahoe's. That's where I'd go. Like, if you got to go somewhere else, like, I'd probably go.
So good,
Tahoe. Like, or Colorado or Utah, or definitely don't come to Michigan. I mean, Michigan's cool if you're local, but don't come to Michigan. That's a horrible idea.
We can't work in Tahoe. They don't want us there either.
That's
true. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I go to Vermont. That's where snowboarding was born. Maybe I get into snowboarding and.
Yeah. But maybe I follow Simon's method and buy one of these multi-resort passes and spend a winter traveling around like that. That could actually be fun, and actually kind of focus. Then I could really I could make some serious amount of content by doing that. Like,
yeah. I also think like you getting kicked out of the country probably would be good for your YouTube channel, honestly, especially if like you went fighting,
Like the struggle at the airport.
Yeah, like the police literally had to take you out of the country.
Yeah, just like getting driven off. That could be eventful.
The Canadian culture, though, you guys are like really polite. Like they would apologize 1,500 times as they were kicking you out of their country. They'd be like, "Really sorry."
Can you marry someone in the next 28 days, Matt?
Ooh, there you go. Not a bad guy. I bet you could find somebody.
Dude, I'm
you just have to lower your standards. That's all.
That's your comment, mate. Yeah. People jokingly say about that, but also trying to find that's an interesting one. Trying to find a partner in a ski town. But
are you a single guy?
Yeah, I am. I'm still a single guy. Hoping to meet that lovely Canadian sometime soon.
Yeah.
In the next 28 days.
Yeah.
28 days, make it official.
But it's slim pickings in Revi, let's say.
Really? Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I'm sure it'll all turn out fine. And yeah, it's this journey.
I'm not 100% convinced based on today's conversation, but I'm hoping for you. I'm fingers crossed for you.
Yeah.
If not, Matt, I've got a spare room. So if you need to figure out what's going on when you get kicked out and you're back in the UK,
mate, that is very kind. And then you can show me around the little ski resorts up in the Lake District.
Lake District, yeah. Well, hopefully we get some snow this year. That would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Joe's got a couple of other comments here for the borders, actually.
Joe's been cool too, by the way. So, like, I'll tell you this right now: with Ride Vibes, we don't sell any of our merch. We just give it to people we like. So, everybody on this live stream, obviously the two I'm talking to, but Joe, you've been cool too. And then what was the other guy? Rich. Like if you guys want some ride vibes gear, like throw a comment in my section somewhere and I'll send you some stuff.
Dude,
sure.
that'd be good. I'd love to. Like, is that a merch shirt you're wearing right now?
Yeah, it is actually.
Yeah, do you want to show it?
Yeah.
Nice. Dude, that's good, man. I looked at some of that stuff. It's a real cool retro feel to it.
Yeah, we're kind of going for like the vapor wave, like 80s vibe right now. We're all into the pinks and blacks, and yeah, for sure. But anyway, back to the question. Joe, you've been cool. So like, you want something, hit us up. We'll get you some merch.
Yeah, man. I'm going to give a shout out to Pieced Heads. So I don't have my merch. I'm working on it. But these guys are based in the Ski Vault in Austria. So if you're looking for a good snap, definitely go check them out. Joe says, I don't want to brag, but Simon and Ride Vibes, you may be interested, but my dad has a letter from Tom Sims.
Ooh.
Yeah.
See, I'm a big gear junkie, so like I'm all into the Burton versus Sims like rivalry, honestly. So I'm more Team Burton, I guess, because I do think Jake invented the sport. But no, I'm a big Sims fan. So I'd love to have a Sims. You know what, Simon? We need to buy a Sims board this year. I don't have one yet. I need one. I have to have one. I don't have one.
we can have a battle, because you know how like we talked about like gatekeeping, whatever, but like in my head, when I started snowboarding, I was like, the last thing I'm buying is anything Burton. And I was on that side of it. And then I was like, I'm not, but like, because you have to buy the right bindings to use like the EST board. And then you have to do this. And like, even when you're saying like with your bindings that you're getting, you have to get the boots. But I used their bindings a couple years ago, and oh my God, they are the best bindings I've ever used. So comfortable.
No,
I'm on Team Burton now.
I agreed. I think if you're going bindings, you go Burton or Union. Or Bust. That's it. That's literally like, I had bindings for years and years that weren't Burton, and mine keep getting jammed and everything else. And I got like I was stuck in my snowboard one day, literally trying to get out of it. It was jammed up at the bottom of the hill, and they happened to be having a demo, and the guy came up, and I finally ripped my foot out of it. My friend and I are both trying to get my foot out. I'm like, screw this, I'm going to buy new bindings. I go up to they had a little like hut set up, and like a tent, right? And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, those bindings suck, man. You need some of these." And I was like, "Or do they not jam? Are they easy to use?" And he's like, "Watch this." And he took like a pinky and slid the ratchet. And ever since then, I've been riding Burton bindings, and like Burton makes, I think, some of the best bindings. They're the big boys, so people want to hate on them, but like, if you look at it on the other side, they have a lot of room for research and development because they have all that money. So I think I like Burton products. Binding wise, I think I'm stuck for life. Like I like Burton boards. I like the channel system personally, but I'm also looking at arbors and other things. Like I'm not opposed to that. But bindings, I think I'll be riding Burton bindings for life.
Yeah.
Do you have like a brand that you're...
I like how Richard says, hell yeah, Vaporwave 100%. I like how you know what that is. I used to be a graphic designer back in the day, so. But he must be a little artsy fartsy himself. He knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he said like when you were off, he's a software developer, so he's with you when like just wanting to shut the laptop off and forget about tech. Like he's with you on that.
Yeah, no, perfect. Yeah, that's what we do. I work with a shop of about 75 developers. So I'm the VP of sales there. I used to develop myself though back in the day. So I have a technical background, but now I actually do sales for software. But yeah, no, we're in good company, Richard. If you ever need a job, let me know. I'd love to have you over at TransTech.
Right, lads, we've got to unfortunately wrap this up. This has been an awesome live stream, and I really appreciate it. Guys, who had the best question today?
I liked the question about what would you change in the ski industry. I enjoyed that conversation quite a lot.
Yeah, I
Right?
think we got to go with that. I mean, we talked about that for like an hour and a half. Matt was like a sleeper. He didn't even give us his answer for a long time. When you actually answered, I was like, Matt hasn't answered this question yet. It's been an hour and a half.
I was being the moderator.
Yeah. No, Joe for the win.
Joe. All right, Joe, you get the merch for today, buddy. Yeah. So I really appreciate like you guys coming on here. Like we should do this again. Like I mean, if you're up for it, I'd love to do this more regularly.
Totally. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally. And
definitely.
actually, I would be
Thanks for
less
having me.
distracted most weeks because it wouldn't be Labor Day weekend. So that was a little. I didn't miss sight on my end.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, absolutely, love to do it more often.
Awesome.
Fun. And Simon,
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt.
Yeah, no, thanks for coming on. And guys, thank you everyone who has watched the live stream, who's participated in the live stream. Of course, if you've missed parts of it, however, this will be available to watch back. Do please head over to Simon and Brad's individual channels, check them out, watch the videos and subscribe. Yeah, hope to see you guys next week, and have a good week, guys.
See you later.
See ya. Okay.